First of all, the Kyler Murray news is, to me, just some of the weirdest stuff I've ever seen, bro. Like, and I said this, Shawn, and we can go pull back the tape. I brought it up during the middle of the season. I said the body language. I said the body language is starting to look really weird on Kyler Murray. And I said it's not a big deal because he's so good and he goes out and plays, but people take notice about that and teammates take notice about that. And I think that you're starting to now hear, which I am shocked, by the way. I am absolutely floored that the Arizona Cardinals allowed this to get out. And it could be their downfall. It could seriously be the end of Kyler Murray, that he is now hearing how they actually feel about him and how some people in the organization think that he's immature and that he's a finger pointer. Like, bro, we're talking about a two-sport athlete that got picked in the first round. And we're talking about a very, very, I don't want to use the word cocky, but a confident guy here in Kyler Murray. And it is very evident here, Shawn, that he's embarrassed after that playoff performance. He's embarrassed about it. And that was how this whole thing started. And he feels like he's the one that's getting blamed for that, which to me is kind of bullshit. The Cardinals have done everything. I mean, they've surrounded him with everything he's wanted. They traded for DeAndre Hopkins. They're still drafting offensive weapons as we speak. They go out and get James Conner. They go out and bring in AJ Green. They go out and get JJ Watt. They bring in the coach that they think he wants to work with. Like, to me, they have done everything for him. And maybe contract talks are a little weird right now, but that's how it happens. Look at Dak Prescott's talk. Happened forever. Like, these contract talks aren't smooth. And for him to just go and delete everything and kind of already throw chaos about it, to me, it just points to what we're hearing out of the Cardinals camp. He is a little immature. He is pointing fingers. And again, I think it's a little ridiculous on Kyler's part, but I also think it could be really bad that the Cardinals let that get out, that's how they feel.
Yeah, a lot to unpack here with this.
It is a lot. And I know I just went both sides of that real quick, but it's fascinating.
So first off, on the playoff win and the blaming him, I think the only real people that are coming at him like that are about him not running the ball at all. So it makes me kind of curious if Kyler believes that Cliff told him not to.
Yeah.
And Kyler's trying to get that out there, that it's like, hey, that wasn't on me, man. That was the game plan. And that's why Cliff has came out and been like, I'm going to see how to make it easier and be better on my quarterbacks, stuff like that. So I think that's a little bit of a mending bridges moment for Cliff and Kyler. Really, you got to look at where these stories came from. In my opinion, it came from two people that I can think of. Number one is Larry Fitzgerald. He's been very, very down on Kyler Murray. If you ever listen to him talk about Kyler, you can tell he doesn't like Kyler very much.
Which, by the way, is not good.
Yeah.
Like, Larry Fitzgerald's one of the most respected, hardworking dudes ever to play this game. Why is he down on Kyler? Good point.
Yeah, the leadership thing, like all that stuff comes from Larry. Larry has said some stuff on the record that's like, yeah, he needs to work on some leadership, some body language, this and that. But one person that has a lot of sway with Larry, that Larry can sway and kind of move his own ways, and I think where the main report came from, I think it came from the owner. I think it's Bidwell that put this out there. Because if you look at it, I don't think it came from Cliff. Cliff wants a contract too. Cliff's tied to Kyler. Keim at this point is tied to Kyler and Cliff, so it's not coming from Keim either. That leaves Bidwell, the guy who wants to win, the guy who put them on the mandate to win and make the playoffs. And then they did, but then they lose in embarrassing fashion. You got Kyler's body language going everywhere, looking unhappy. Now he wants more money. This sounds like an owner play to me. And that's a little iffy too, because Kyler could easily go Deshaun Watson and say he's not playing for you anymore. Well, that's just the case. And I know baseball is out right now, but he can easily say he's going back to baseball too. He has double leverage. He can do whatever he wants to, really. And I know Kyler might be looked at as immature and maybe he's aloof. I think he's just like, I think he just gets anxiety about things, man. Like, really. I think he's just a quiet guy. And, not all the best players are the best leaders. KD, you see that in the NBA. KD's not a great leader. KD's just one of the best players. You see that with maybe even a Big Ben to a certain extent. You saw Big Ben have all sorts of not getting along with certain teammates, not getting along with certain offensive coordinators. And while he'd go out there and bark orders, Big Ben was never the best about being a leader in the locker room and everything, and having people just follow him. The Super Bowls he won, they had great defenses, and he just came through in the clutch when he needed to. In the second one, in the first one, he just handed the ball off the whole time. So with the whole Kyler thing, I think you get sort of quarterbacks like this. Aaron Rodgers is like that to a degree, if we're being honest. Kyler's just that type of player. I think he wants an extension. I think Bidwell's still a little pissed off about how the game ended. And I think that's kind of where they're butting heads. I think they figure it out though, because like if you let Kyler go at this point, you're done for in Arizona. That division is the hardest division in the sport. Like you have to have a quarterback. Kyler's winning you games and keeping you in it. You can't blame him for everything. I think you're just going to have to wrap your arms around him and be like, okay, he might not lead the team like we want him to, but he's going to put up the numbers and play the way we want him to, and we're just going to have to keep him happy right here. It's going to be a strange situation to monitor, but I don't see him asking out. I see him getting an extension. It's going to be weird to see how they move forward past all these reports and things like this.
Yeah, well, so the issue here is, and you're right about leaders. There's not every great quarterback or great player is a leader. That's just not how it works. But if you're correct that this is coming from Fitzgerald and the owner, who are clearly tight, that's a cause for concern if I'm Cardinals fans, because with the status of the player that Kyler is and the fact that he has baseball in his back pocket, dude, like, I'm not trying to call Kyler a hothead because I don't think he is. And I'm not trying to call him super like egotistical or anything like that. But this is a type of report that a player could easily decide to say, I'm done. You want to tell the public? You're supposed to be on my side, and you want to go behind my back and tell the public that I'm a finger-pointing, immature person and I need to work on that? Like, again, I think that would be ridiculous of Kyler, but we've seen players to say I'm out for way less stuff than that. Like, Kyler could easily be like, I'm out on that. So, like, I don't think he's going to, but I think that the Cardinals are walking a very fine line right now. And they need to be really careful because Kyler's really good. And now, while you don't want to bend over backwards and let him run the franchise, you also don't want to lose him because, like you said, it would be a disaster. Now, you would get a big-time haul for him, but it would be a disaster to lose him. It's going to work out. I think the contract will work out and all that stuff, but that team is going to be monitored really strong this season. And if things start to go off the railroad tracks and start to go downhill again, we could be in for some fireworks. People will start getting fired, and there's going to be a lot going on if it comes down to that. Because, again, there's already clearly a lot of tension, and I just think that report on them coming out and admitting to how they feel about Kyler could be very interesting down the road.
Yeah, especially if it's the owner. I think what do you think happens if the owner decides Kyler's done? He fires all of them, right? Like GM, coach, everyone's gone. It's completely clean house.
It's a complete clear house.
See,
the
that's
issue
hard
with that though is, yeah, I guess you'd have to bring someone else in to then do the Kyler trade. The owner does that trade, the Cardinals are screwed. Like you can't be doing that.
Exactly. He's going to have to hire a GM he trusts to do that. That would just be a train wreck because you were picking first to get Kyler to start with. Look at where you are now from where those 2 years, the year before Rosen, the year with Rosen. Look at where your team was then.
Yeah.
And your division's only getting better. It's only getting better. If Trey Lance can play, I mean, look at the quarterbacks in your division.
And also, let's be real here. Like, yeah, that was an embarrassing performance. But now look at it in hindsight. You just lost to the Super Bowl champs. like I understand it was a very embarrassing performance, but like looking at it now, you lost to end up to the best team in the league. Like
without Hopkins.
Okay. What?
Without Hopkins. And
Hopkins.
He's a completely different quarterback with Hopkins on and off the field. Deshaun Watson was the same way in my opinion, early in his career. In those first 3 years, Watson without Hopkins out there wasn't Deshaun Watson. That's how it is. These quarterbacks nowadays, we talk about this in our draft talk. These quarterbacks nowadays, especially the first 3 years, without their number one and with them, is completely different quarterback.
Yeah,
They
no
they
doubt
have
about
to
it.
have their number one out there. That's just how it
And
is.
no doubt about it. And that's why, and like when this report first came out, I sent it to a buddy of mine, and he was like, I don't get this. Like, what has Arizona done for Kyler not to be happy? They've given him everything he wants. And to me, they have. Like, they really have. They've given him Hopkins. That's why I just think it's like pump the brakes. It's all going to be okay. They're getting better and better each and every single year. He didn't have Hopkins and they still have played really well. Like, I think it's going to be fine because really, if you look at it, why would Kyler want to leave Arizona? It's gotten better every single year. They're willing to spin, they're willing to pay, they're willing to do everything they can. I just think it's just Kyler. Kyler's a winner. He's never lost a big game before, really ever. I mean, he lost the semifinals college football game, but he didn't get embarrassed. He actually came back and only lost to Alabama like 7, I think that was. This is the first time he's really ever gotten his butt whooped in a big time game. I think he's a little bit embarrassed. I think he doesn't like how things are going down. And then you hear these reports. The offseason will come. They'll all go have margaritas out in like Cabo or something, and everything will be all right, and he'll get his money. The other thing, though, is, and I know quarterbacks and players don't think this way, us as the media, I really wouldn't even be that rushed to get your contract, bro, because once you do get paid, that roster is going to start getting worse and worse by the second. And again, I know people don't think like that because if I was Kyler, I wouldn't think that way either. I would say, give me my money. But that's how it works. You know, once you get that big money, things start to change.